guys. Hey. We have Coral Bissett here. I didn't even ask her. I didn't even ask her about her name. I think it's so appropriate that she grew up outdoors. She is outdoors. She loves to be in the forest. This is what she does now. She works with the OWLS program, bringing it to all the schools in our region, teaching, teachers, giving them the tools, giving them everything they need to then bring their lessons to the outdoors. We're talking today about, we talk about the Ecology Centre. We talk about the OWLS project, which is a really cool project. It started in 2019. Of course, then COVID kind of shut it down. But what was happening during COVID? Everybody had to go outside, right? If you wanted to hang out with your neighbors or something, you had to be like 20 feet apart and you had to be outside. So it kind of worked for them. It's a really cool program where they're just really encouraging small kids, really big kids like me as well, to be outside. Just get outdoors. How about you guys? I mean, do you go outside as much as you think you should or as much as you want to? Like, do you actively make time to go walk in Luray Woods, to go up to the trails behind the university, just go for a walk after dinner? Or here's another question. Do you only do that like in the summer? Are you kind of a summer outdoors person and don't really know what to do with the outdoors in the winter? Or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe you love the winter because you ski, maybe you snowshoe, ice skate, whatever it is, and you kind of don't like to be out in the summer. I'm just curious. I wonder about you guys. Like, do you get outside as much as you should? Because I really, when I'm outside, I always feel better. Like, I always feel better after a long walk or after just being outside all day. And don't you sleep better too? There's something about, I don't know, as a little kid, parents would always say that. They'd be like, oh, you're going to sleep good tonight there because you were outside all day. Something about fresh air. I don't know why I did like a big French Canadian accent when I was talking about parents there. Oh, you're going to sleep good tonight. Okay. But listen, we have Coral and let's get into it. But first, I need to thank one of our major sponsors for all their continued help and support. Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. Thank you so much for your support. Let's get into it. I'm Lisa Boeve, and this is To North Bay with Love.
North Bay's turning 100, and what a time to be here. From the buzz of the Heritage Parade to sunset concerts at the waterfront, the city is alive with celebration. And you know who's right in the middle of it all? Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. We're proud to be a part of this milestone moment. Whether you're coming home from a family reunion, planning a gathering with friends, or just simply making the most of everything the Centennial has to offer, our doors are open. Stay in a spacious suite that feels like home, with a full kitchen to cook in, room to relax, and a space to unwind after a full day of fun. Are you hosting something bigger? Our event spaces and amazing local partners like the Grand and Stock Transportation make it easy to bring people together. Best of all, they're just steps from the action. The fireworks, the food trucks, the music, the laughter, it's all right here. Celebrate 100 years of North Bay with us. Use code Centennial to save on your stay anytime this year. Be at home with Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. Join the party today at 495 Oak Street West or give us a call at 705-495-3000.
There's so many things to talk about because there's also the Ecology Centre kind of went through not so great of a time recently with the weather.
Yeah, we're still going through it. I was there yesterday.
Okay.
It's been nuts, to say the least.
What was your reaction like after? Because it wasn't technically a tornado,
It
right?
was not a tornado.
What was it? A downburst?
It was called it was a EF1 downburst, which is classified as, I believe, 135 to 185 kilometer an hour winds.
Whoa.
And they're not, like, they're directional. They're not circular.
Okay.
So the Tornado Project, which is through the University of Western Ontario, they have like a storms lab there. And so they go and do investigations. Yeah. It's really cool, actually. So they
recreate stuff?
Well, they bring the drones, and so they do like a lot of footage where they had all the drones out around Sam, and then they look at like the direction of where all the trees are lying, and then look at all the data from like the aerial footage, and then kind of figure out what it was.
Like what happened. Okay.
So was it a tornado? Was it a downburst? What kind of category it was, right? Because they've got that wind, like the EF0 and up. They tell you, how forceful the winds
violent
were.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so all the data too is on their website. So you can go on and you can look at, anything across Canada. You can look at all the storm data. It's really interesting. For us personally, we were waiting to see that data, and if you look at it, it was so isolated to like. It feels personal in some ways because when you look at it, it just really, really hits Samuel de Champlain.
That is bizarre. Like, I wonder why. It's just it's one of those things, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'm sure scientists are like, or what do you call them? You don't call them weather people.
Climatologists?
They're like climatologists or like,
Meteorologists, thank you.
Yeah, meteorologists.
Yeah.
Is that them? Is it just,
I'm
they
sure there's
deal
a
with all kinds
combination
weather?
of people, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they
must be like, why that day?
Yeah,
Why?
it was this, and it was, I remember it was a crazy storm. Like because I live in North Bay, and we were watching a movie, and I had the blinds drawn, but it was like strobe lights.
Yeah. I remember the lightning
and I was like, "What is happening?" And so we just paused the movie. We went outside, and I watched for a good 20 minutes as it was like flash, 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 like with a constant like low. I've never heard a storm, and I love storms.
Yeah, me too.
I had never heard a storm like that.
Yeah.
And so. Watched it, went and had it, grabbed a seat, and then my phone rings, and it's Allie Steer, Bill Steer's daughter, to say, hey, everyone's okay, but there's been a big storm at the center, and there's a lot of trees down, and Bill is trapped in his cabin.
Oh my God.
And I was the only one that had the contact information of our guests who were on site. So I was like, okay. Saturday night, was not planning for this to happen, had been like, this is a cool storm. And so like we had no idea how bad it really was.
Yeah.
So luckily all of our guests were okay.
Yeah.
And
even that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
The fact it was so violent, so quick, and that so specific, and yet, people were unscathed. Like they were fine.
Like on our site specifically. Now there was and I know like they held off on announcing what had really happened, and so we all kind of had to keep it quiet. But I think they were waiting to see what the fallout would be.
Yeah.
And in the end, there were no casualties.
Okay.
So, and like to say that, you're like, okay, it was a windstorm, there was no casualties. But then when you get on the ground and you look at what it looked like, and specifically in the Jinquacoki campground where it was its worst, it looked like a bomb had gone off and there wasn't a single tree standing. Trailers were crushed. So the fact that no one died when you actually look at it was a miracle. Like it really just like, and so when we went and toured it and we're standing in the middle of it, like just like it really hit you how incredible it was that no one died. Now, there were some people who were severely, severely injured,
right?
Like multiple surgeries, like quite significant injuries, but no one died.
Yeah.
I know like the storm continued and on its path, I think closer to Ottawa and like southern, southeastern, maybe Merrickville area. I think there was someone who died from the storm. Wow. But for us, no one, which like it was crazy.
And you must, being out in the forest, because we're going to get to that in a second here because you have really cool, you have very cool, like, I don't know if they're degrees or just like very cool education and very cool titles beside your name. And But I just, hearing you talk right now, like it reminds me, I'm a big Tolkien, like I love Lord of the Rings. I grew up with it. And every year, my mom has like the extended version. And like every fall, we like watch it in November and December. We go to Mordor once a year. But it's that scene, right? It's the scene when like the Ents go to war. You know what I mean? And
Which is one of my favorites.
Right?
Like that's just...
They come out of the forest. And of course, it's obviously a metaphor for us, men and women and just us and how we're ruining, we're just kind of ruining this world. We're just kind of taking so much and maybe not giving back as much as we should. And so now the weather is so unpredictable. The oceans are very, very hot and it creates, like it's all connected, right? So it just creates these violent storms. Look at all our summer was basically extreme heat and smoke from all the fires, right?
Exactly.
And so things are on fire and it's just like, that scene of them coming out and just kind of going, and I love how he says, a wizard should know better, like Sauron, right? Saruman should know better because we should know better.
Oh, for sure.
And we should do
for
better.
Sure. Well, and in terms of like magic and witchcraft and wizardry, too, there's supposed to be a connection.
That's right.
To the elements,
to
right?
The
And to the earth. Yes. And so that's they should know better. Exactly.
So with the program, with the Owls Project.
Yeah.
So this is a project, it's outdoor learning.
Yes.
So it's with the Canadian Ecology Centre and the Near North District School Board.
That's how it
like
started.
Like a partnership? Okay, that's how did it, how did it come about?
So OWL stands for Outdoor Ways of Learning and Sharing.
Okay.
And it started as a pilot project in 2019. It came out of the brain of Heather Dabrowski, who was working at the Ecology Centre at the time. She's now a teacher at Silver Birches with the Near North Board. But she was taking her forest school practitioner's course through the Child and Nature Alliance of Canada, who's that governing body for forest school practitioners.
We have to talk about that in a minute too.
Yeah,
Continue,
no problem.
But that's crazy. I was like, what?
And so as part of that, you're supposed to come up with like a proposal for some kind of forest school type thing, right? And so being a certified teacher, as Heather is, as well as myself and Bill and Laura, she was looking at a way to bridge that gap between forest school and our traditional school system.
Okay.
And so came up with this plan and pitched it to José Bisson at the Nipissing Parry Sound District Health Unit. And she's part of the Healthy Communities program and who has been like the greatest champion for pushing this program forward in our schools. She firmly believes in outdoor learning, contributing to the health of our young people. And so she really helped push this along. And so partnered up with the Near North District School Board for this pilot project it was 5 sessions.
Okay.
Where it was a mentorship program actually for teachers. So the students benefit.
Okay.
But the program is meant to build capacity in schools and to give teachers the resources and the confidence to take learning outside.
Okay.
A lot of what we hear often is, or the misconception is you can take kids outside, but it's for gym, right? Or it's for run recess or whatever that might be. But how do you assess? How do you take math outside? How do you take literacy outside? And so that was the focus. It was focused on math and literacy in the elementary levels, but also with a focus on how to assess learning outside, as well as bridging that gap between outdoor and indoor. So how to take a lesson that you may start indoors and then bring it outdoors and then bring it indoors. So that was that main focus. The other was to look at building resiliency and really focusing on the social emotional needs of students as well, right? Noticing, so a lot of the, to backtrack, Jose at the health unit, as part of it, was evaluating the project. And there's some key markers, and we've got that available on our website, what she used. And so she's since done an evaluation for all 4 school boards with our program. But looking at key kind of indicators in terms of like students' overall success, their feelings towards the program, what teachers noticed in terms of behavior from before the program started, during and after, how it changed their teaching pedagogy, and how they started to perceive the outdoors and outdoor learning. So all of those kind of things, but really like giving those teachers the tools.
Yeah.
Once we left after those five sessions, to keep doing it. Right. And, so year after year to make that now as part of their teaching. That's their toolbox now includes taking their kids outside for math, literacy, whatever that might be. So that started back in 2019. And then COVID hit.
Right.
Right
after that.
Right after that.
Oh man.
And it was well received. And the school board wanted to continue with it. Heather had left and had moved on to the school board. But we still continued with the Near North board. And even during the height of COVID, we still managed to run the program. And so it was myself and Laura Kilpinski, who's our assistant general manager. The two of us, we weren't allowed within the schools.
Right.
So we had to go to Tim Hortons to go to the bathroom during sessions. And they insisted that we wear not only our masks, but we had to wear face shields while we were outdoor
but you're
teaching.
Outside.
I know, but it was there were so many misconceptions
and they
about
didn't
everything.
Know, they didn't sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
Better safe than sorry.
Which, in the fall is okay.
Yeah.
But you're in the middle of January with minus 30 weather.
It's chilly.
And blowing ice and snow that is
in
fogging up
shield.
and icing up your face shield as you're you need wipers.
Right.
As you're trying to teach this program.
Oh my gosh.
And it was cumbersome, but the benefits far outweighed
it's worth
the
it.
discomfort that we were going through.
Yeah.
Because that's where they could be free. And that's what we were trying to push, right? Is that outside is a safe place to be during a pandemic, right?
Absolutely.
That's why wouldn't you get them out there, right? We still ran it. And so we've been running it ever since. We have grown to all 4 school boards. So we run it in French and English.
And is it still the 5 sessions?
We have played around with it.
Yeah.
Initially, what the idea was is it was a gradual passing of the baton to the teacher. So session 1, it would be 100% us.
Yeah.
Session 2, 80% us, 20% the teacher. And then by session 5, it would be the teacher doing 100% with us as support to try and kind of pass that off. What we noticed during COVID, or as a result of, is that burnout, which I think we can all agree is real.
Yeah.
And we're still seeing, I think, the repercussions, the effects of it. The capacity for teachers to do it that way, they just didn't have it. They were so overwhelmed. There was so much going on. Not only that, they were dealing with so much in the way of that social, emotional well-being, of their students, right? Because this was a scary time for them.
Online. It was
they'd been at home. They'd been, it had been quite something.
Yeah.
And so that model of that passing of the baton kind of fell by the wayside. And it was more of us modeling that teaching for those 5 sessions and giving them the tools and the know-how. And if they felt confident, they could come in, and help. And then we'd offer that assistance, forevermore after they finish the program, right? So they have our email address, they have our phone number, if you have a question.
Questions, exactly.
I am happy. If you don't know how to do, if you have a lesson and you're what can I do to take this outside? I don't care if you did the program in 2020. You can call me today.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to help you because that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
For us, it's not about gatekeeping or it's not this proprietary thing, right? It's that we want outdoor learning
Pay it
for all,
forward and get them
that
out
should
there.
be that's the goal, right? In whatever way. So
I think it's such a cool thing. First of all, just having that, bringing the learning outside. My brother teaches at Nipissing, and he's actually doing his PhD in education.
Okay.
And but he does that with his students as well, right? He'll bring them out into the swamps, and because he does labs in the biology department and stuff. So he brings out in their certain labs, and then there's a course that he usually does in the summer where he's outside in the swamps. And then I think back to I grew up in Timmins and went to school there, and I have a core vivid memory of us all getting on a bus, and we went out to it was a big chalet, a big shack kind of a thing, which kind of like an ecology center. It might have been the ecology center, but this was I'm going to say I was in grade 3 or 4, and there was a whole bunch of us there, And we not only, like, we had a whole day there. It was a whole day of, like, learning about the birds that were there, the different birds. And we had, you know, different things to answer questions about these birds. And then we played a survival game that was outside. And everybody got a flag. So the red flags were carnivores,
Yep.
the yellow flags were,
Yep.
you know, and then this was great. And I don't know if they do this today, but anyways, we took off. Like they would say, okay, the herbivores, you're going to go, and they'd time, and they'd like give us time to like go into the woods, deep into the woods and go hide. And then they'd release the carnivores and all this kind of stuff. And your goal was to get back. Like if you were obviously like a little bunny or something or whatever, and there was like big wolves in the forest, you had to get back to the chalet. And like capture another flag before you got like tagged by one of these carnivores. And it was the coolest freaking thing that we ever did. And I mean, we're talking grade 3.
Yeah,
and
and
I
you
can
still
picture the forest.
Right?
I can picture hiding under a log. I can picture like telling friends like, come on, get over here. He's coming. Like we learned so many things that day. And I just wonder what your opinion is about like where we are now with kids, because this is for kind of aimed at kindergarten to grade 8, you know, so these are younger people. Why or if you think that there's as much play outside, like do kids spend as much time outside as, I mean, I grew up in the 80s. We were outside. Punishment was staying in the house. Like
Yes.
if you were
For
grounded
sure.
and you were
For
staying in
sure.
the house, your life was over
Yeah.
because everyone in the neighborhood was outside and they were playing cops and robbers. They were doing something. So I just wonder, like, yeah, do you know, in all of your years of doing this and stuff, like, do you think that kids are outside as much as they should be?
No. First of all, I have chills because, like, talking about like, your experience in like,
Oh man, it
but like
was
I'm
awesome.
the exact same way. Like I remember, and I couldn't tell you where I was. Like I grew up in Southern Ontario in Brampton, and I'm an '80s kid, and I have like very vivid memories of I was a deer and we were given these like shower rings with little washers on them that were like represented like your life force or something.
Okay.
And it was in this big field, and there the man that ran the center had like a tractor, and he would drive it around, and if he saw you, he was the hunter. And
Oh my
like I
gosh.
remember that
Yeah.
feeling of hiding, and like
Yes.
it was it is a core memory.
Totally.
And I would challenge you to ask anyone from like, I'm going to guess, like, I would hope that, you know, globally, everyone has had some kind of outdoor education experience. But, like, if you think back to your school days,
Yeah.
like, it would be, I'd be hard-pressed to find people that didn't specifically remember times where they got to go outside.
Yeah.
In terms of if you remember nothing else, those are core
Absolutely.
memories. Like, I
Yeah.
firmly believe that.
Yeah.
And so, like, because those were vivid for me, vivid for you. Like, it meant something, right?
Yeah.
And I would assume, like, if you have a love of nature now, of being outside, living in a place like North Bay, we have such access to nature space.
We do, but you know, it's funny you say that. And like, you know, talking about kids not getting outside enough. I love nature, but I don't go outside enough.
Well, and
I'm sure I don't. Like, I know I don't. And when I do, when I make the time, like just a little while ago, because September's been gorgeous.
oh yes,
I love September. This is like the perfect weather. I love this. No humidity, and it's just nice. It gets cool at night. But I went to Laurier Woods not too long ago, and I walked the paths by myself. Oh my God. Like you forget how much forest bathing is just like, and that's such a cliche, like everybody's using that word now, it's such a click word, but like it really is, because the sounds are different, the birds are different, just saying hi to people on the trail, you know what I mean? It's like this thing. It's like if you're on a boat or something or a skidoo, you always have to say just hello. You don't know the people, but you're like, hey, what's up? We're in the trail. But there's something innately needed, I think, about nature.
yeah, oh for sure. And like, to be honest, like it's literally my job.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I get outside
Really?
enough. Just, and that's the trade-off, right? So I've been at the Ecology Centre for 18 years now. Got there fresh out of teachers college. And when you start there, you're a programmer. And so you're outside all the time because your sole job is to deliver programs outside.
Okay.
Like that's what you do. But 18 years later, as the, programs manager, I spend a lot of time at my computer.
Right.
Especially with being closed.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, like, it's all online. It's all, paperwork and bookings and contracts and schedules and those kind of things. And so, it gets really hard sometimes, and you get to the end of the day and you're in even when I was at work at the center, like I'm in a provincial park and I drove in and I walked into the building and I get to the end of the day, I did not even go outside
Didn't even
today.
stand in the parking lot.
What the heck, right? And then I've got kids at home and you're rushing to get home.
That's right.
And I want them to be outside. And, but yeah, I often feel like I'm not getting out. Like life just gets busy and in the way, and you're in that rush. And so, no, I feel like it's, and we often talk about, I joke with my kids all the time. They're big fans of the show Bluey. And in that, the dad often says, like, it's not the 80s, man. Oh, those were the times. And the kids were like, why does he keep saying that? What's so great about the 80s? And my husband and I, like, both, like, he's 78, I'm 80, like, we grew up in the 80s. Yeah. And, like, it is the golden days of being outside.
Of being outside.
Because there were no rules. Like, it was go out and come back when the street lights come back on, right?
Yeah. When it gets dark, come in for dinner.
There was ads on TV that had to remind you that your children should be home, right?
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Exactly, right? Because we were just, we were free-range children.
Oh my God, we were wild.
And I used to I would come home, I'd been gone all day, building forts and jumping fences and drinking out of neighbors' hoses. Totally.
And
oh my God, yes. Having the best time. Like the best time, right?
Yeah.
We went we were never, all of our travels in the summer, we didn't have a cottage. We didn't go away on planes. We camped.
Yeah.
Like I've been camping since I was a baby. Like and that's what I do with my children. But we've gotten to an age where we're afraid to send our kids outside.
Yeah.
Like if you were a parent who lets your kid roam the neighborhood, you're judged.
Right.
Quite harshly, actually, right? And I
don't know where that happened. I don't know when that happened. That's the thing. It's because now you see one of those block parent signs in a window. Mm-hmm. They're a pedophile, obviously. Obviously, they did that because they want children. And it's what?
I know.
So and that's the other thing, too. It's a cycle of where does it start? Do we need all of the neighbors and the parents to kind of come together and be okay, we are going to safeguard these kids? Because I will tell you, growing up in the 80s in Timmins, there was a 4-block radius where I knew every person's name, not just the kids, their parents' names.
Oh, for sure.
I knew where they worked. I knew that if I forgot my house key, I could come home and go knock on the Laneville's house or go to the Azenchucks or go to the Jacksons. Just be I forgot my key. And they'd be like, yeah, come on in. There's food in the fridge, whatever. I'll call your mom later. But the parents knew the parents, right?
Yeah. And so that doesn't exist anymore. There's entire subdivisions where people don't even talk to their neighbors.
Yeah.
And so they don't let their kids roam free because they don't know the community.
Yeah. And there was a pack. You were with a pack of kids.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Stranger Things, right? I mean,
exactly.
That's
exactly
why I love that show.
That's why I love that show. Is I watch it with them. They're just going where they want.
Oh my God, with their bikes.
That was the dream.
Their BMXs.
Right? Oh my God, it was the best.
Let's go, man.
Exactly.
And that was your posse. That was your crew. So you were never alone. You were out with 7 or 8 kids, usually of different ages. There was some older kids in there and stuff. So your parents didn't have to worry because you were with the group. You know what I mean? You looked out for each other.
Yeah. And you did some pretty stupid stuff.
Oh my God.
Right? We took such risks,
that we did.
Which was, and so getting back to the OWLS program, that's the part of it.
Okay.
Is that risky play.
Yes.
Because we have to have a term for being, just reckless and stupid kids doing
dumb things.
Dumb things.
Not thinking stuff through.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you think about, as an adult, if you sit back and consider all of the stupid stuff, and I don't know how many times you said to yourself, "Oh my God, I could have died."
Yeah, I could have died.
Oh my gosh,
what was I thinking?
That was super stupid. That could have gone wrong in so many ways, right?
Yeah.
And so, what kid can really say that now?
I know,
because we've taken all that risk away. They don't get to assess risk anymore. We put them in bubbles.
Yeah, risk.
We don't. Why not? Because I said so. We don't let them into part of our decision making, right? Can I go do this? No, why not? Because I said so.
Yeah.
We're not, I've considered all the risks and why it's bad, and so I'm saying no.
Yeah.
But all you hear is the no. You don't see all of the dots I had to connect to get there. I didn't include you in my decision making as I assessed the risks and the benefits.
Yeah.
Whereas when we were out in the wild, yonder, with no parents to help us, we were making those.
We were doing that.
Doing that dynamic risk assessment as kids on our own. Sometimes we didn't do it great, right? Sometimes we got hurt or friends got hurt or you hear stories, right?
Tooth was lost, yeah.
But,
we figured it out.
I always say, like, do I need to like childproof anything? No, because you're only going to do it once.
That's right.
I only stuck my finger in a light socket once.
I mean,
right? I'm not going to do it again. I learned my lesson. So if you don't let them fail, if you don't let them take those risks, how do they learn how not to do those things? Right?
Yeah.
So we've taken that away.
Yeah. And obviously, for those listening and watching, like, we're not saying, light a shack on fire in the woods and let your kids put it out. Like, that's ridiculous risk. But we're talking about like taking your bike down a trail in the woods and maybe having to jump over like a little stream or having to figure out how to, manage like a big mud puddle and now you're stuck and now you have to, how are you going to get out of there, we came up with all that. And not only like risk, but I don't know if this is part of OWLs too, but kind of learning how to be social and how to interact in a social group where there wasn't kind of a teacher, right? And it was like, how do I get what I want? How do I get what I need? Yes. How do we work together when you want to do A? I think B is totally right. So how are we going to, there was all that part of it too.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
When you're in a social group like that.
So in my opinion, that's what recess is.
Yeah.
So that's the only time that can actually happen if you don't have teachers who kind of foster that.
That's right.
That's what recess is.
Yeah.
It happens in OWLs. It happens we run a day camp as well in the summer, which we were able to run during COVID as well.
Cool.
And so in the past, I had always had other staff, like you hire specific staff to do it.
Yeah.
And so, crafts and whatever, like activities, games, all those kind of things. And so when it came down to like, okay, it's COVID, we don't have any staff, but I want to run a day camp. I guess I'm going to do it myself. Okay, so what have I noticed? Because at the time I had, let's see, my oldest would have been 7 or 8. My youngest was like 1.5.
Okay.
But I was like, what do I know that my kid needs, right?
Yeah.
My kid doesn't need crafts. My kid doesn't need programs or games because they've been stuck online up to this point. They hadn't been back at school.
Yeah.
They had not been allowed to play with other kids. So they were lacking in their social skills, any kind of, conflict resolution, any of those things, right? So that's where I went to more of a forest school model, right? So took out a lot of that programming, us telling you what you're going to do, and brought back real play. Because the definition of play is that it is freely chosen and it's intrinsically motivated. And so, like, it's not me telling you, here are the rules of the game, now you have to play within the rules. That's not actually what play is at its core.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's not motivated from within.
Yeah.
And so all we're doing is just providing a framework, and now you have to follow these rules. There's no play.
There's no play.
So let's take that away.
That's right.
Right? Let's just go in the forest.
Yeah.
And I'm there to make sure that that there is at least some oversight.
Right.
Yeah. If I see that you're about to do something epically stupid,
we're gonna
hey, hang on.
Hang on.
Can we just take a pause for a moment?
Think it through. Yeah.
And it's not me saying stop. It's not me saying be careful, because there's a whole now like things to say instead of be careful, right? We want new language.
There?
Oh yeah, there's like infographics, there's all sorts of stuff. But
for goodness
because
sake.
It just says like be careful.
Yeah.
Or stop.
Yeah.
But let's change the language. Hey, how are you feeling about this right now? What's your body telling you? Are you feeling like excited about this? Are you feeling confident in what you're doing? What's your plan?
Yeah.
Did you notice how slippery the log is under your feet? Did you notice the sharp rocks underneath the log that you're standing on? What do you think could happen? Right?
Yeah.
Let's just talk about this.
Yeah.
And so then I'm now involving them in this dynamic risk assessment where it's like, hang on a second. It is feeling slippery under me. I didn't really consider that. And I guess if I did fall, well, that wouldn't be a very soft landing. No, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
So what could we do instead? And then let's come up with a plan together.
Yeah.
They buy in, they're part of the planning, and they still get to make those decisions for themselves. Could we do it somewhere else?
Right.
How could we do this in a more safe place, safe way? But let's plan that together.
And then now they have the tools, right? So the next time, like when they're by themselves and maybe you're not there or nobody's there, then they can kind of go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is this a smart idea? Like
exactly.
It's pretty far from the roof of my shed. So I'm going to think that this is probably not good to jump off. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's
they'll come up with that, right?
Which is where we learned that. We learned it through trial
your parents
and error,
weren't coming out to play with you.
And that's
they were
exactly
like,
it.
Yeah.
But the fact that we now have so we have Child Nature Alliance of Canada, CNAC, with their Forest School Practitioners course. They also run a risky play workshop, which you can do online. But like
that's cool
because you have to teach people how to do risky play now.
Dear North Bay, you've always been more than a place on the map. You're home to me. This is where I built a life with my husband, raised our kids, and taught in local schools for over 24 years. I'm proud to be part of this community. Earlier this year, my world shifted. After living with anxiety, depression, and PTSD for much of my life, I reached a point where I couldn't keep going alone. Walking into the emergency department at the North Bay Regional Health Centre was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But what I found there changed everything. A nurse who made me feel safe, a crisis worker who truly listened. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen. That care gave me hope, and it inspired me to give back by supporting local healthcare so that others in our community can access the same compassionate care I did. If my story resonates with you, I hope you'll consider supporting the NBRHC Foundation. Please visit nbrhcfoundation.ca or call 705-495-8125 to give. Because mental health is health. With gratitude, Tiffany Van Meer.
It's almost that time of year. Early mornings at the rink, fresh notebooks and backpacks, and a community gearing up for another great season of varsity sports. At Source for Sports North Bay, we're proud to be part of it all. Whether it's finding your kid's first pair of skates, gearing up for tryouts, or outfitting your team for the season ahead, we've got you covered. Because here, we're not just a sports store, we're neighbors, coaches, teammates, and fans. And we're proud to cheer you on every shift, step, and stride of the way. Visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street and let us help you along your way.
I was watching this, I think it was CBS Sunday Morning or something, and it was in New York, and there was a park that they created, and this park was a little risky because it was they had like old tires. They had big old chains, like from boats, like huge, massive chains. It was basically like a scrapyard without, sharp pieces of metal and things hanging around or like nails hanging up. But so it was safe that way. But you had to kind of crawl through these tires, or you had to kind of go up this what are those called? Not a jungle gym, but like one of those that you have to. It's like a dome.
Oh,
like
okay, yes.
The monkey, not a monkey bars.
It's like the monkey bars.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you had to climb up those things, and you had to like cross bridges. Anyways. And the whole thing of this park was there was somebody inside, like a you person, who would be in there just to kind of be like, oh, hang on. Are we thinking this through? Anyways, and that was it. And no parents were allowed in there. So they would drop their kids off. And it was so interesting because they were talking to the lady who was working there and running there. And I know she had her education, like in kind of early childhood education and teaching. And she said, it's so interesting. She says, basically, most of the time, we have to tell the parents to get lost. She says, one day, his father dropped his son off. And she said, okay, great, come back in an hour or whatever. And so the son kind of thought, okay, I'm going to climb these monkey bars. Well, he started. And then he kind of stopped and he looked lost. Well, the dad was on the other side of the fence. And he was like, okay, just, take your right foot. Hey, like, Shane or whatever his name was, take your right foot and put it on the top one. No, put it on the top one. So then the kids started looking back and going, what? And trying to, so to the point where the mediator had to come over and be like, sir, please, don't help your son. He'll be fine. Go do what you got to do. You're not allowed here. Goodbye. So they wouldn't allow, because they were, and not every parent's a helicopter parent, but it was so evident that like he was so worried about him falling or hurting himself or whatever. And she was like, no, we're here. We're going to make sure he's not. But he needs to figure this out. He'll figure it out. He's smart enough. Allow him to be smart enough.
For sure.
Because he's smart enough to figure this out. He'll do it, on his own. But it was this whole risk thing, right? It was just like this kind of playground that was a little bit more risky. And so the kids had to learn how to, go through it, but also deal with the other kids that were there and figure out how to play with them. And
Oh, for sure. And that's
what a concept. It's weird to us, 80s kids, to
'Cause
be like,
that's
what
what
do
it
you
was.
mean? This
Oh,
is just
well.
this is a Tuesday night.
Our parks were metal with
my God.
you go down the slide and get 3rd-degree burns in the
God, you burn
summer.
yourself.
Like, oh my goodness. So we used to jump up from high.
Teeter-totters
Like,
with-
it was
concussion
Oh goodness. You look at it
immediately.
now and it's a miracle we made it out alive
know,
sometimes,
right?
right? But
Crazy.
like we can assess risk quite like in the moment, right? There's
Absolutely.
like and sometimes it's funny, right? Because as like I'm in my 40s. And I joke with like Laura and Bill at the center, right?
Yeah.
Because like we have permanent jobs. And so we've been there for years and years and years. But people who come in as the programmers, they don't stay very long, right? We're kind of that transition zone as they move on to like bigger, more permanent, right? We're that stepping stone on their career, their journey. So in essence, they always stay the same age and we keep getting older.
Right.
And so, eventually like, my pop culture references no longer make any sense.
Like, what are you talking
and
about?
you really notice it. But also like there's almost this dividing line of like people who just can't assess risk as quickly and don't see the causation and don't, and need more validation and need you to like, help them through things a little bit more hand-holding, that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting. Like at what point we need to do those studies.
point,
At what point where did it all fall off the
helpful
rails?
to being
Yeah.
detrimental
Yeah.
to somebody's somebody's growth.
And that's it. But it's scary for parents because when you look at risky play, like there's a list of things that constitute as risky play, like going downhill at great speeds, getting lost, roughhousing, which is a big no in schools. No, it's all hands
Can't
off.
touch, nobody touch
but
anybody.
roughhousing is a part of risky play.
Yeah.
Jumping off of tall things, playing with sticks. All of those kind of things are all part of this risky play.
Yeah.
And so as part of the Owls and as part of like all of our day camps now, we start every single, like our first session, the first day of camp, the first day of Owls, is always focused on hazards and risks and defining what those are. What is a hazard and what is a risk? So a hazard being something that can harm you, and the risk is what is the likelihood of that harm happening? And can we, if it seems like it's a higher likelihood, how can we make it less likely, right? Is it through changing what that hazard is? Is it through education? Is it through like whatever? Or is it something that is really like not possible?
Yeah.
So for example, I had at one of the schools in the middle of winter, the schoolyard was sheer ice. Like it was ice, just ice, right? 'Cause, we get to that point where it's been freeze thaw.
for sure, yeah.
And the kids have packed it down so much from playing on it that it is no longer snow, it is ice. And so the principal was like, oh, you can't go out there. Like, what do you mean? Well, it's just ice. You can't go out there. But I needed to get across the field to get to the back forest. No, you can't go out there. I'm like, we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so what did we do? Okay. What's the hazard here? Well, the ice. What's the risk? Oh, you could fall and you could hit your head. Right. So is there a way that we can travel across the ice in a safe way? Like, are there other like animals that travel on ice and seem to be okay? And so like, hands up, penguins do it. Okay, so how do penguins walk?
Yeah.
Oh, they shuffle and they keep their weight on top of their feet. And these are kindergarten kids.
Oh my God, I love this.
Okay, so do you think if we walked like penguins on the ice, we'd be okay? Yeah, let's all walk like penguins.
And they're so
and so we made a
excited.
lineup of penguins.
Yeah.
And we all waddled
Shuffled.
along. I love it. It's so fun.
So
it's like I'm like a
cute.
kid every day. But we all waddled along. Nobody fell. We got across that field. We got to the forest. When we came back, we waddled like penguins again. And we
How
were
amazing is that?
fine,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Because
so awesome. They
figured it out.
I was going to say like a seal. Like you could like maybe
you could
like
maybe
do
go
this
along on your belly.
on your
or-
belly.
Yeah, different ways
know?
to exactly.
And I mean, that's also education too, because we live in the north. There are many lakes here. There are many streams. So in the wintertime, what do you do on ice? What if you hear cracking noises? You get down on your stomach. You know what I mean? So like that's also
Exactly,
like another
right?
thing that, it's all about knowing how to deal with ice.
Yeah. So we're very quick.
That's cool.
Especially in our schools. Like it's gotten to the point, like again, going back to the 80s where, your play structures were death traps. And I remember jumping off high things that you really should never have jumped off of.
Remember, and they would like rust out. Like the slides would rust,
It'd be crazy,
and there'd be like
right?
this jagged rust edge all
and
the way
now,
along.
like I go to schools and like, the school gets off limits. So they're not even allowed to touch the playground in the winter. It's roped off. They can't touch the play structure. So I'm pretty sure, and don't come at me if I'm wrong, but almost all schools in our region shut down their play structures for winter. Oh. So there's only a few months like in the fall and in the spring where kids can actually access. The rest of the time, it's this just like taunting them. Yeah. Saying, haha, you can't play on me, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got this playground, like you've got this schoolyard that has nothing. Because you can't even play on that. It's just a field.
And they probably don't bring out like, I guess, balls and stuff because they would freeze.
Well, they've started to, right?
They should.
You've got hills and they can't have toboggans, but we're starting to see those more now. So I feel like we're getting to a turning point where, like, if school boards are paying us to come in and run these OWL programs, which is encouraging outdoor play, they're well aware that we focus on elements of risky play. We look at risk assessment, all of those things. So in bringing us in and teaching that, they are condoning it, they're promoting it. The Near North District School Board just actually released, they actually now have it's their AG, their administrative guideline on outdoor play and outdoor learning, which follows a lot of those forest school principles and a lot of that site risk assessment and dynamic risk assessment. And this is huge in terms of this is what, the OWLS has kind of been leading to as we're building capacity.
Yeah, where it's actually in part of their curriculum.
So now the Near North Board has created policy that these teachers who are learning and bringing it as part of their pedagogy now have guidelines from their board to help them through that process. So we're seeing this evolution where we're getting back to prioritizing that. Okay. Because what we're noticing, and that's what, the health unit's evaluations are showing, that's what the teachers, observations are showing, that's what we're seeing, is that we're taking these kids outside and they're learning how to assess risk again. Yeah. They're learning how to do risky play again. They're learning how to play with others. They're learning how to problem solve. They're learning all of these things.
And confidence. They're learning confidence
building confidence. They're finding that when they're back in class, they're calmer. They're better able to regulate their emotions. Right. There are all of these benefits from this outdoor learning. But a big part of it is that risk, because that's something that carries you through for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
Because you get to adulthood and you don't know how to dynamically assess risk. Yeah. You're in a lot of trouble.
And that it transfers through everything. I'm just thinking of, I work at the hospital now, and it's I will truly credit, I think I've just always been an outgoing kid, an outgoing person, but I do credit that play and being an 80s kid and just growing up in that time where, it was very encouraged to get out and go and figure it out and go make something up. I don't know, it's raining, whatever, go to the basement and figure something out. So there wasn't only creativity there, but there was, problem solving, and there was, calling people over to play or organizing, okay, we're playing kick the cans. This is your, maybe being in charge of the team that day or something, hey, you're on this team and you're on this team and da-da-da. And those are all skills that transfer into adulthood. Absolutely. Because now you're in a job and, okay, maybe something's going on. You need to speak to a manager. You need to send an email. You need to whatever. So now it just transfers into those confidence skills to be able to approach a situation and say okay, let's work this out. But here's what's happening, right?
For sure. So. You bring up a really interesting point too, but you said you didn't have anything to do. So you go into the basement and you figure it out. We're going to play kick the can. We're going to do whatever. So you were allowed to be bored.
That's absolutely
boredom. That's his key, right? And
there's nothing organized. We had maybe one organized sport.
Kids aren't allowed to be bored anymore, right? No. They're so programmed that they have no downtime. Yeah. They're never left to their own devices. And so you hear kids I'm bored. Oh, let me organize these activities for you to do. My kids come to say to me oh, Mom, I'm bored. I'm I'm so excited for you.
Hi.
This is a really...
I'm Coral. Nice to meet you.
Oh,
we'd get that all the time.
That comes up a lot. I'm hungry. Hi, hungry. I'm Mom, right? I'm bored. Hi,
nice
bored.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
But I say I'm really excited to see what you come up with, right? Because during boredom,
for sure,
that's where your creativity comes in
so much.
So my kids know how to play alone.
Yeah.
You know, like they're 5 years apart. So like my oldest had to learn. And then my oldest was in school. She was at home. Yeah. She had to learn how to play by herself. Like, Mom, will you play with me? I'm like, kid, it's my job to make sure that you're alive and give you like your, I said, it's not my job to play with you. Like I can sometimes. Yeah, sometimes like, it's great. But like I also have to do all of my grown-up responsibilities. So you're going to have to figure something out, right?
And again, transfers to adulthood, right? Because like I think everybody needs to be very comfortable to be alone.
Yeah. And to embrace boredom.
And that's okay.
Right?
Exactly.
Embrace it because that's where creativity shines. That's where you figure things out, you know. And so what we notice a lot, and this is where it's really interesting, right, is there's, again, like this cutoff. So like we've done owls from like JK. We've even gone into some of the daycares all the way up to like grade 12.
Yeah.
And there is this like dividing line. And I want to say it happens sometime, like somewhere around grade 4, grade 5, where kids have been, because like if you go to in early learning kindergarten, right, it's play-based.
Okay.
Right? It's very much play and what are you interested in? It's very students like led. What are you interested in? How can I work my lesson into that, right? But it's based on play. Centers, you know, the water table.
The water table and the sand table.
That's right, but like play, right? Yeah. And then as you go through, you sit at your desk a whole lot more, right? You're given a whole lot more worksheets. You're watching the board a whole lot more. But are you playing?
Right.
And so it kind of, you lose it.
Yeah.
And you notice, so in owls, we run every session the same way. Like we start, we do our welcoming circle. You know, I like to ask, because we've done our hazard hunt the first day, right? So we've assessed our area.
Yeah.
And so I'll ask, has anything changed since I was here last, right? Like we had a big windstorm, there's some trees down, or like the weather has changed, or, you know, are there any new risks and hazards we should be aware of?
Yeah.
No, we're good. Okay. This is the focus of today. So then we'll bring in the activity or lesson. So sometimes it's a game or, you know, I brought some kind of manipulatives or some kind of activity that, you know, sets up the learning, can be assessed and evaluated, which they love, you know, checks off those curriculum boxes. And then we go to what's called inquiry time, which is the fancy like word for play.
Okay.
It's playtime, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll have stuff, you know, like I'll bring, if I've been talking about measurement, I've brought meter sticks and they're in the bin. You know, if I'm doing, I make like scales out of coat hangers and like cups so that they can look at balance. You know, there's mud kitchen supplies and whatever, little animals and building blocks and sticks and whatever. And so that's their inquiry time. And so hopefully we're in a forest, you know, because the forest provides. But if you're not, you're in the schoolyard. But it's impressive to watch how they're like, yes, inquiry time, and they just go. And they require like very little kind of guidance and instruction. Yeah. They just figure it out, and their creativity, and that's what I love to watch, right, is watching them find ways to use some of the stuff I've brought in ways that I never really considered.
You never thought, yeah.
Or they ask questions, or they come up to me and like they just see the world in an amazing way, right? So it's so illuminating in so many ways. But you get, the older they get, you give them that inquiry time, and they're just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So then we have to so that inquiry almost has to become more focused. So this is your inquiry time. I would like for you to, and then you give them prompts and invitations that help them to kind of initiate that play, right? What about, you know, building structures, like, you know, here's some sticks and that kind of stuff, or, you know, I'll see them kind of like playing with something a little bit, but like not quite knowing what to do. And sometimes there's that like peer, like, you don't want to appear.
Well, I was going to say, do they want to look embarrassed?
Or like, I don't want to be embarrassed.
I mean? Yeah.
So like, I like to ask questions. I'm like, oh, like, did you notice, or what are you doing? And they're like, oh yeah, that is, you know, and then it kind of like, I give them permission almost to be weird and like just play. But it definitely requires more work on my part at the beginning. Yeah. And then the more they do it, the easier it becomes. Yeah. And so I've often wondered, and this was kind of, you know, big idea, big dream, right? That like, if we could study, you know, if we could follow a group of kids from like kindergarten through their like whole education to grade 12, where at every grade they were given opportunities to play, but not recess play, but like as part of their learning, right? So like they did regular outdoor learning.
Like part of curriculum.
Part of their curriculum. Okay. It's part of math, part of they're outside, they're doing science, math, art, whatever, and they're given that inquiry time to investigate on their own and do stuff and play. What would that look like throughout the life of that child versus a child who kind of got cut off, right? Like in grade 3, 4 and not prioritized anymore, right? And what would that look like? Social, like in terms of their overall mental health, in terms of their creativity, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, I often wonder, like if we really prioritized it, what might that look like in terms of our children?
I think that is a goal. I think
Isn't
that's
it though?
right there.
Like, you know, and so I
get
see
the owls in there and every freaking grade.
And that's it. But it gets harder, right? Because when you look at the model of owls, it works in elementary.
Right.
But then when you get into the upper grades and it's semestered and you're not with the same kids all the time and you have your programs during certain times.
Right, certain periods.
The scheduling becomes challenging. And so it is more of a challenge. And you'll find that a lot of the funding for a lot of this stuff is more focused at the elementary level.
Interesting.
And so it's coming.
Okay.
Like I think we'll get there, right?
It's coming. Yes.
I think we'll get there.
Well, with you at the helm, it's definitely going to
I
get
hope
there.
so, right? Like Lauren, Bill and I fully
Bill
believed in
Lauren,
all of this. Like this is, you know, this is our driving force is that like, you know, our job is to, and it's taken me 18 years to really like hone in what is my purpose? What is my job? Mm-hmm. My purpose is to provide positive experiences for people in nature. That's it, right? Positive experiences. Because like when I came out, so my undergrad was like, I was environmental science. You know, I came out like, oh my gosh, the world is going to hell in a handbasket. Like there's no hope for us. The world is on fire. You know, the environment's terrible. Like this is, it was like every class was doomsday. And so what am I going to do with that? I'm going to go to teachers college because kids are the answer because they're going to grow up to be in places of power and to make policies. And they're going to be the ones who change the world. And so you come out and you're like up on your soapbox and you're like, save the trees and save this whatever. And they tune you out because they don't want to listen to like, they don't want you to tell them what they need to do.
Right.
And then I think, well, why do I care so much? Well, I grew up in nature. And I care about it because I had positive, wonderful, core-like memory-making experiences in nature. And so when I see something harming it, I take it personally, right? Because I am connected to it. And so if a child has never had that or as an adult didn't grow up with any of that, then why would they care?
Yeah, exactly.
They have no connection.
They have to be connected to it.
So like, in a perfect world, everyone can come out to the Ecology Centre or, you know, go to their respective outdoor learning spaces and have those positive experiences, right? It's not feasible for everyone, you know, or in a perfect world, everyone could go to a forest school and could afford to go because it's not free. But that's just not the way it is. But every child goes to school. And so that is the one place where we know that all of our children are going. And we have that opportunity to access the outdoors or unveil it to these children. That's that place because they all come through those doors. They all go through the school system. And so if every school system prioritized outdoor learning, then that's where that can be provided. Because that's that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic standard. Like it doesn't matter. Everyone goes to school. And so if outdoor learning is prioritized, then every kid gets to go outside and every kid will get some kind of connection to nature and make those positive, you know, remember hiding as a deer, as a herbivore in the forest. Like they'll all have that.
So fun.
And then hopefully they'll feel connected enough to
nature.
Want to do something about it when they get into positions where they can make real change. Because that's the only place, right? Because like the Ecology Centre costs, not everybody can come. Like we have a foundation, we try, right? But it's not feasible for everybody. And, you know, not every school board has access to outdoor places and not all parents, you know, depending on where they come from, feel comfortable going out in, the Ontario wilderness. And so a lot of these kids, the first time they really get to play outside is at school.
Is at school at recess, yeah.
And so let's empower teachers to feel comfortable and confident, to feel like they know how to manage behaviors, they know how to set up expectations, they know how to assess and get those curriculum, things checked off, anecdotal notes for their report cards, all based on outdoor learning. And so that's where we come in, is that I
love it.
I love, tell me what you're learning. And don't just tell me this is what we're doing in science. I'm like, no, but I want to know what you're doing in math. Yeah. I want to know what you're doing in art. I want to know what you are learning at school this week in all subjects. Tell me what you're teaching.
Yeah.
And it is my mission. I will figure out a lesson or two where I love a mashup.
Yeah.
Good mashup. So here's a lesson that is going to cover your science, your math, your literacy, your art. And here's some ways you can bring the learning inside. And here's how we can bridge all of it, right? Yeah. So if you teach 5 subjects to the same kids, do we need to put them into silos and compartmentalize? Does science only happen at science time?
Right.
Does art only happen at art
time?
time?
Put them all together, yeah.
Why can't science and art be at this? It's all integrated, right? And then let's take them outside.
That's awesome.
And so it's it becomes a no-brainer. Yeah. And what I get from a lot of teachers, which is interesting, is it's that aha moment where they say to me, this seems so obvious and so simple. Why didn't I think about it? And then they say, I feel like I was waiting for someone to give me permission,
right,
to tell me that it was okay to do these things. Yeah. And that's all they needed. They just needed someone to come in and be like, it's okay. This is good, and it looks like, because there's that perception from the outside. Other teachers are judging me for taking my kids outside and they don't see the learning.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Because from the outside, maybe you don't. And maybe you didn't at first either, as you see these kids playing during inquiry time. But let's take a pause. Look at what that kid's doing right now. What if we ask some prompting questions? And you start to see that they're making connections that you had no idea about. They're bringing stories into play. They're bringing all of this stuff that they've been learning throughout the school year, and they're incorporating into their play. And so, if you're not paying attention, it just looks like they're messing around.
Right.
But it's all right there.
Yeah.
And so just that, it opens their eyes and really, it's quite
amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty empowering.
No kidding.
It feels really good. So, and that's that but it's based on forest school mentality, right? Regular repeated access to an outdoor space, looking at elements of risky play, changing the language to help kids see risk and be able to do that dynamic risk assessment, involving them in your decision making, and then just being creative, and giving yourself permission to, and sometimes it's okay. Because it's always there's these distractions outside. Okay, sometimes a lesson is a flop.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right?
There you go. Can't win them all.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
You can't win them all.
Sometimes you've got a great lesson planned, and then something happens.
Yeah.
And they are so interested in what's going on. And you're like, no, don't look at that super interesting thing over there. I'm trying to teach this lesson, right? But there's this beautiful pileated woodpecker who's chopping away at a tree, and they are obsessed and they want to watch it. But no, don't pay attention. It's no, they are super interested in that. You have them.
Yeah.
This is they're connected to this. Just go with it. It's okay. You can teach this later, right? It's okay to just go off on, my husband calls them side quests, right?
Yeah,
No, you've got another
well,
side quest.
Yeah,
it is.
No, it's true. You got to focus on
side
what. Yeah,
quest
exactly. Yep.
because they're interested. And then when you get really good at it, you can find a way to loop it back in to what you were learning,
exactly,
which takes some time.
Yeah.
But it's not always possible.
Right.
But yeah, it's
well, thank you so much.
my goodness,
thank you so much for coming in today, Coral. It's been
thank
great.
you. I get so passionate about it.
Absolutely. But this is awesome. That's what you want. You want somebody who's passionate about it.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're going to get other people passionate about it.
For
right?
sure.
And get in there.
Yeah.
So
just go outside.
That's fantastic.
That's what I tell. Just go.
How do people? So I guess it's through school. I guess so how they're gonna get a hold of.
So for the ALS program specifically, actually yesterday I just sent out the new 2025, 2026 program booklet to all of the outdoor leads at all 4 boards. And so how they decide who does what is up to them. Individual schools can contact us if they're looking, because that's where like the board funding is going to come in. Individual schools can contact us. Individual teachers can bring us in. We've got like the OWLS program, but we also have like outreach where we can come in and do just a program. So there's those kind of things. Plus we can do like if there's a teacher out there that wants me in their class and to take their kids outside, it doesn't have to be under the umbrella of OWLS. Like, I'll come. Yeah. Like we'll make it work. We'll figure it out, right? Exactly. Like that's what we do. That's part of it.
Brady's kids, we figure it out.
And then for parents, during the summer, like come to one of our camps. We run camps from like age 6 up to age 12. But like we're not the only ones, right? There's some great like other organizations out there. Mike Ward at Nature and You is running some great PD Day camps out at the Nordic Ski Club. Yeah. So if you don't have any PD Day plans for this coming October, check out Nature and You. He runs wonderful programs, getting kids outside and involved in nature. There's lots of different opportunities for outdoor learning, and just take your kids for a hike at Laurier Woods or go up to the ski hill.
Oh my gosh. There's so beautiful, especially this time of year.
The most amazing trail systems, right? Just
leaves are gorgeous.
Just go out. Just go outside.
Just go outside.
Oh, for sure.
I love it.
If you're not sure, you can reach me at the Ecology Centre. If you're not sure what to do with your kids, I don't mind talking to you.
There you go.
Or in a perfect world, everyone could go to a forest school and could afford to go because it's not free. But that's just not the way it is. But every child goes to school. And so that is the one place where we know that all of our children are going. And we have that opportunity to access the outdoors or unveil it to these children. That's that place because they all come through those doors. Yeah. They all go through the school system. And so if every school system prioritized outdoor learning, then that's where that can be provided. Because that's that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic standard it doesn't matter. Everyone goes to school.
Yeah.
And so if outdoor learning is prioritized, then every kid gets to go outside and every kid will get some kind of connection to nature and make those possible. Remember hiding as a deer, as a herbivore in the forest. Like, they'll all have that.
So fun. Yeah.
And then hopefully they'll feel connected enough to want to do something about it when they get into positions where they can make real change. Because that's the only place, right? Yeah. Because the Ecology Centre costs, not everybody can come. We have a foundation, we try, right? Yeah. But it's not feasible for everybody. And, there's not every school board has access to outdoor places, and not all parents, depending on where they come from, feel comfortable going out in, the Ontario wilderness. And so a lot of these kids, the first time they really get to play outside is at school.
At recess, yeah.
And so let's empower teachers to feel comfortable and confident, to feel like they know how to manage behaviors, they know how to set up expectations, they know how to assess and get those curriculum, things checked off, anecdotal notes for their report cards, all based on outdoor learning. And so that's where we come in, is that I
love it.
I love. Tell me what you're learning. And don't just tell me this is what we're doing in science. I'm like, no, but I want to know what you're doing in math. Yeah. I want to know what you're doing in art. I want to know what you are learning at school this week in all subjects. Tell me what you're teaching. Yeah. And it is my mission. I will figure out a lesson or two where I love a mashup. Yeah. Good mashup. So here's a lesson that is going to cover your science, your math, your literacy, your art. And here's some ways you can bring the learning inside. And here's how we can bridge all of it, right? Yeah. So if you teach 5 subjects to the same kids, do we need to put them into silos and compartmentalize? Does science only happen at science time?
Right.
Does art only happen at art
time?
Put them
all together,
Why can't science and art be at this? It's all integrated, right? And then let's take them outside.
That's awesome.
And so it becomes a no-brainer. Yeah. And what I get from a lot of teachers, which is interesting, is it's that aha moment where they say to me, this seems so obvious and so simple. Why didn't I think about it? And then they say, I feel like I was waiting for someone to give me permission, to tell me that it was okay to do these things. Yeah. And that's all they needed. They just needed someone to come in and be like, it's okay. Like, this is good, you know? And like, it looks like, you know, because there's that perception from the outside. Other teachers are judging me for taking my kids outside and they don't see the learning.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Because from the outside, maybe you don't. And maybe you didn't at first either, as you see these kids like playing during inquiry time. But let's take a pause. Look at what that kid's doing right now. Like, what if we ask some prompting questions and you start to see that they're making connections that you had no idea about? Like, they're bringing stories into play. They're bringing all of this stuff that they've been learning throughout the school year, and they're incorporating into their play. And so, if you're not paying attention, it just looks like they're messing around.
Right.
But it's all right there.
Yeah.
And so just that, like, it opens their eyes and really, like, it's quite a...
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty empowering.
No
like,
kidding.
It feels really good. So, and that's that, like, but it's based on forest school mentality, right? Like regular, repeated access to an outdoor space, looking at elements of risky play, changing the language to help kids see risk and be able to do that dynamic risk assessment, involving them in your decision making, and then just being creative, you know, and giving yourself permission to. And sometimes it's okay, like, because it's always like, well, there's these distractions outside. Like, okay, sometimes a lesson is a flop.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right?
There you go. Can't win 'em
Sometimes
all.
it doesn't work.
You can't win 'em all.
Sometimes you've got a great lesson planned and then something happens.
Yeah.
And they are so interested in what's going on. And you're like, no, don't look at that super interesting thing over there. I'm trying to teach this lesson, right? But there's this beautiful pileated woodpecker who's chopping away at a tree, and they are obsessed and they want to watch it. But no, don't pay attention. It's like, no, they are super interested in that. You have them.
Yeah.
This is like, they're connected to this. Just go with it. It's okay. You can teach this later, right? It's okay to just go off on, my husband calls them side quests, right?
Yeah,
Oh, you've got another
well,
side
true.
quest.
Yeah,
It is.
no, it's
There's
true. You got
We're
to
gonna
focus
go
on
a
what.
side
Yeah,
quest
exactly. Yep.
because they're interested. And then when you get really good at it, you can find a way to loop it back in to what you were learning,
Exactly,
which takes some time, but and it's not always possible,
Right.
but it's
Well, thank you so
Oh,
much.
my goodness,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for coming in today, Coral. It's been
thank
great.
you. I get so
And this
passionate
is-
about
well,
it.
absolutely. But this is awesome. That's what you want. Like, you want somebody who's passionate about it.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're going to get other people passionate about it.
for
right?
sure.
And get in there.
Yeah,
So
just go outside.
That's just
That's what I tell them.
fantastic.
Just go.
how do people? So I guess it's through school. I guess how they're gonna
So
get a hold of.
So for the ALS program specifically, actually yesterday I just sent out the new 2025, 2026 program booklet to all of the outdoor leads at all 4 boards. And so how they decide who does what is up to them. Individual schools can contact us if they're looking, because that's where the board funding is going to come in. Individual schools can contact us. Individual teachers can bring us in. We've got the ALS program, but we also have outreach where we can come in and do just a program. So there's those kind of things. Plus we can do if there's a teacher out there that wants me in their class and to take their kids outside, it doesn't have to be under the umbrella of owls.
Right.
I'll come. Yeah. We'll make it work. We'll figure it out,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. That's what we do.
That's part of it.
Brady's kids, we figure it out.
Exactly. And then for parents, during the summer, come to one of our camps. We run camps from age 6 up to age 12. But we're not the only ones, right? There's some great other organizations out there. Mike Ward at Nature and You is running some great PD Day camps out at the Nordic Ski Club.
Yeah.
So if you don't have any PD Day plans for this coming October, check out Nature and You. He runs wonderful programs, getting kids outside and involved in nature. There's lots of different opportunities for outdoor learning, and just take your kids for a hike at Laurier Woods or go up to the ski hill.
Oh my gosh.
There's
so beautiful,
we have
especially this time of year.
the most amazing trail systems, right? Just
leaves are gorgeous.
Just go out. Just go outside.
Just go outside.
Oh, for sure.
I love it.
If you're not sure, you can reach me at the Ecology Centre. If you're not sure what to do with your kids, I don't mind talking to you.
There you go. Stranger Things. Have you seen that? Have you guys watched Stranger Things? I wonder who's a big fan. I was a big fan. And honestly, that's what it was. I mean, Coral and I were laughing about it because we're both in our 40s and we totally are genuine 80s kids. And as soon as I saw that group of kids with their bikes going down the road, it's like an ET. It's like an ET when all the kids are on their bikes. Because that was the thing, man. That was your crew. It was your crew. It was your people. It was your kin. Your bikes, your BMXs. And then one year, I asked for a bike. It was a princess bike, I think they were called, but it had like a banana. Remember the banana seats on your bikes? The freaking banana, they were like the big, oh man, it was awesome. And then you can get those like little plastic things that you would put on the spokes of your tires. And it would go ting, 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 ting. Of course, it drove parents crazy, but whatever, we loved it. Anyways, man, if you had a bike when you were a kid, like you were free. That was freedom right there. It was awesome. Anyways, those core memories of just being outside and doing those activities with the school, but also, going to that chalet like I was talking about and like identifying all the birds and then playing that really neat kind of survival game out in the woods. It was incredible. It was so fun. And I have vivid memories of it. So get outside, guys. Get outside. I take that advice myself because I do not get outside as much as I guess you say as much as you should. I mean, I don't know if there's like a specific amount of time you should be outside, but definitely, obviously the way the world is now, we do spend a lot of time indoors looking at screens, whether it's your phone, your computer. Anyway, get outside. Do it. You know what else you need to do? You need to go to our website. Yeah, northbayecho.ca. You can check out the other podcasts that are there and sign up for our newsletter, Echo Essentials. We'll send it right to your inbox because that's just who we are. That's who we are. We'll do that for you. Till next time, guys. Much love, North Bay.